Hey there, English 431. We've had such an interesting time working through what we know about writing tutoring, mentoring writing groups, and so on. And if you've stuck with me to this point, and most of you have, you'll notice that there's any number of different kinds of issues that remain unexplored or that we only covered for maybe a week. All kinds of issues related to language identity, to non-native speakers, to working with grammar, to what grammar really is, to rhetoric, to writing in the disciplines, the differences and the similarities between writing in business, biology, sociology, English, and art. All kinds of things await you when you think through the different kinds of ways in which writing tutors and writing mentors are asked to function. Remember that in most cases, academic essays are a big part of what we consider to be writing in the university. The formalized essay, the research paper, the 10-page and 10-source kind of exegesis that talks through what you know about a different, some kind of issue in a content class, in your major or outside of it. But there's all kinds of different kinds of writing as well that innovative instructors are asking students to do. Public writing, like exists in my English 338 class right now. Writing for specific purposes or audiences, white papers in business, tech specs or tech manuals, other kinds of things that students are asked to write on a regular basis. Why am I telling you all this at the beginning of week 13 of this course? Because you've just turned in your second paper, this group observation. And most of you did a fantastic job with it. I gave you some notes. If you turned in a paper in the last week, I turned in some notes to you, some comments on your paper that I'm hoping you can use to revise. And that's the kind of stuff that we could be doing to wrap up this course. I will say this has been a difficult semester for all of us. I was on sabbatical last semester, so I didn't get a good sense of how classes were different pre-pandemic to now. I have been shocked and surprised and pleased in some ways about the different kinds of ways that we have used Perusall and Google Currents to maintain a kind of an ongoing and building sense of community throughout the semester. It is not the same kind of community that I would have gotten face to face. It's not the same kind of knowledge of you all as individuals and as writers and as tutors that would have happened if we had been meeting 1 or 2 or even 3 times a week. That's not generally how things run. However, I think we've all made a go of it and we've all been successful in our own ways, learning about tutoring, learning about writing groups, and so on. So I've spent a good bit of time at the beginning of this particular video, just sort of talking through where we are right now. And I also wanted to say one other thing. It's been a tremendously difficult semester for some of us in this class and outside of it. And I know that the difficulties are weighing on people differently. Some of us have had a terrible semester. I have not. I've been okay. I've felt a little disaffected at times, a little unmotivated sometimes. Toward the end of the semester here, I'm starting to, lose energy. I just feel like I'm running out of it. For students, it's been 10 times worse. In many cases, they have family members who've lost jobs or who've gotten sick. They have themselves lost jobs or had accidents in different kinds of ways that have kept them out of the loop for a while. It's been tremendously hard. And I've gotten a number of emails from students in all my classes saying, I'm just at the end of my rope. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm breaking apart. I don't really talk to people as much as I should. I feel unmotivated. I don't know what to do. I hear all that and I hear you. And if you ever want to talk to me about what's going on in this class or in other classes, frankly, I am a willing ear who can give you just some sounding board, just give you feedback on what you're telling me and maybe help you plan out how you finish this semester strong how maybe you glide through the summer, how you move on from here. So I'm here. I'm willing, more than willing, eager to talk to any of you via Zoom about what's going on in your lives, in this class, in other classes, and so on. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm not an unlicensed therapist, but I am a listening ear, and I am very eager to see you all finish the semester with a solid head on your shoulders. So what I wanted to do with the rest of the time in this video is talk about what we could do together over the final weeks of the course. I am going to share my screen, as I always do, and we'll go from there. What you see very clearly, week 13 right here, and in fact, the final 3 weeks of the semester is what I'm calling reflection and revision. Several of you may want to revise your first essay, that is the being tutored essay, and now is the time to do it. This would be great. Take the comments that I gave you and the generalized kind of penciled in score that I gave you and revise. You may revise as many times as you want until you are happy with the draft or you are totally sick of it. And each time you look at it from now on, I will regrade it. And generally speaking, 95% of the time, revisions get better. They just do. On the off chance that a draft is between one state and another, sometimes it temporarily dips into a kind of a state of uncertainty. But for the most part, in my teaching career, 20 years long at Chico State, revisions make drafts better. And they are, to me, revision is the writing process. How we revise is how we structure our writing, is what the writing turns out to be. So that's one thing you could be doing during this time. The second thing, of course, I just gave you feedback on your group observation. And in many cases, I wanted you to make more connections between Mark Hall's 20 valued practices and what you saw. Maybe I wanted you to talk a little bit more about it. Maybe I wanted you to talk about how learning got demonstrated. Demonstrations of learning is really what we're trying to do here. But the third thing, and this is really the reflection part right here, is we can use this 3-week period to do several things. What I have put on your assignments right here, you know nothing, Jon Snow, is a chance for you to structure a reflection paper or thing. If you want to make a video, that's fine. If you feel more comfortable just sort of talking through your ideas, that's fine too. There's any number of ways in which this this document, this genre, this platform, you could choose. You have a lot of choices. Choose the platform that will serve your purposes best. But this is what I think this kind of thing could do. Whatever we call it, an essay, a video, a photo essay, a story, a literacy narrative, a narrative of learning, any of those things. Two things I imagine it could do. First, it reflects back. That is to say, it tells me what you are walking away with from this class, what has made sense to you, what myths you came into the course with, and how certain kinds of texts dispelled them, certain kinds of work changed your attitudes about tutoring, being tutored, working in writing groups, and so on. It gives you the chance to reflect back over your perusal, your Google Currents, your experiences in the Writing Center, or in any of your writing group observations, your work as an intern. It gives you the chance to get that all together and think about overall, what does it tell you? What are you walking away from this course with? What new insights do you have? What new challenges do you feel that you have? What new questions do you have that you didn't have before? All of those are gets that you've gotten them from being in this course, and I want to hear about them, right? But that is all in the past. It is you looking at what we've done, what you've done, and saying, okay, here's what stood out to me. And the more specific you can be about that, the more you can kind of link some of those sources or ideas or experiences that you had together, the better. But number two, in this time, in addition to your revisions, if you want to make them or not, we have a little bit of time for you to kind of answer some of those questions. That is, I imagine you end the course with certain kinds of questions or inquiries or curiosities about things we couldn't cover in this course. Like I said at the beginning of this video, any process of building a syllabus or a course is really a process of winnowing out, that is pulling things out that can't be in the course. And especially with this semester and the pandemic being like it was, I needed to winnow down to the very essentials. So at the end of the course, I imagine you have a number of different kinds of questions or curiosities, ways of thinking about writing that maybe you can take a little bit of time and research. What am I suggesting? I'm saying that with the time that we have remaining, let's use our Google Currents posts to ask and answer some questions, to be curious about some issues that remain for you, or some questions that occurred on the heels of some kind of experience you had in your internship, and do a little digging. What kind of digging? Into the databases, into JSTOR, using the library databases, and so on, using keywords, using lists of texts or lists of journals, using your resources as an advanced student, a more capable peer, to get a jump on some of the questions that remain for you. So what is this reflective thing in essence? Let's say it's, 60% looking back and 40% looking forward. 60% reviewing what's already happened in this course, and 40% some new inquiry, some curiosity, some asking and answering. We'll use the final 2 or 3 weeks of Google Currents to be asking questions about literacy, about writing tutoring, about writing groups, about any part of this course that you'd like to know more about that we just didn't get to cover, and then go find some answers. I'm hoping the collaborative comments that are left in Google Currents will motivate us to go find new resources, new sources, do some Googling, focused Googling in different kinds of ways that I think could advance your inquiries in useful ways. So what is this thing that would result by the end? I talk about it over here. You can write this paper in any way that you would like. I would like to see some sources, both old and new. But, it can be an informal paper, a movie of your mind, an inquiry narrative that would show you both reflecting back on what you have learned in this course and maybe pushing ahead through some of those questions that remain, taking a stab at answering some of your questions. So I've been redundant enough in this video. I'm hoping you'll use some of these models to guide you, but I'm also hoping that you'll just talk to some of the people in this class about what you've noticed, what this class lacked, and maybe some sources that you found that fill those lacks, that fill those holes, that answer some of the questions you're left with. Okay, so remember, moving forward, our weeks 13, 14, and 15 aren't blank, or as blank as they might look. You might revise your first paper. You might revise your second paper. You might meet with me, and you might ultimately do some new digging to find sources that might be, dogs barking once again, to find sources that might be useful for you to put a lid or an umbrella on this semester, to ask and answer as much as you can with the time that we have remaining. Remember that week 13 is this week, or at least by my counting, the end of April. Then we have 2 weeks in May, and then the finals week. There is no final in this class. All I want is for, if you want things to be revised, that you send new links to me. You send links to the existing documents with revisions having been made, so that I can see that what you've done is a revision. Okay, so thank you, and get in touch with me. Hit me up if you want to meet individually, and we'll just go from there. I'm excited to read what you all thought was valuable in this course, and to read the questions that could guide us into some lifelong learning about writing, writing tutoring, and writing mentoring. Thanks.